Hi everyone. So this is going to be your week 4 of the Mindfulness Challenge. So what are we going to be doing this week? Well, this is all about the gut-brain axis. So we talked a lot about what's going on in our minds and techniques that we can use for things like calming and relaxing, and to really be present and conscious of what's going on in our minds and our bodies. So what we're feeling, what sensations are there. And interesting, there's a gut brain axis, which really is the interaction between the mind and the gut and vice versa. So there's a constant two-way communication there. And the science is still fairly new in kind of its evidence and, test subjects. So what do we know? So what we know is that we talk a lot about a gut feeling. So what we tend to say, or I've got butterflies in my stomach. And what we're talking about is where our mind, certain parts of our mind, is triggering a reaction from the gut. So I think it's probably worth discussing a little bit about prebiotics and probiotics and kind of studies are out there. So prebiotics are the nutrients that feed our gut bacteria, and the probiotics are the actual bacteria. And we class it as good, but we have a combination of what we would class as good and bad bacteria, and there's a balance between the two. Overridingly, we want to promote good bacteria, but we're always going to have a bit of a balance or a bit of both. And what's going on in our digestive system, which includes the intestines and the stomach. And largely the intestines, because that's where all the gut bacteria reside, is we want to have a good gut microbiome. So we want to try and ensure that our diet is varied enough to feed all the good bacteria. And during times where we take things like antibiotics, sometimes that can disrupt our system. And so reintroducing some good bacteria, or certainly being able to feed the good bacteria that's still there, is really important. So prebiotics are things like apricots, grapefruit, asparagus, leeks, onions, cashews, hazelnuts, legumes. I think silken tofu is also a prebiotic. And probiotic things like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, miso, pickles, your kind of all your good bacteria. So they help us to process our food better and to absorb essential nutrients. So they're really beneficial for our body. So they support our immune system. So they keep us well. Our nervous system, so that's our body's hardwiring. So that is how parts of the body communicate via our nerves and our neurons. So they're our special cells. But also our circulation, so our blood and our lymphatic system. So what do studies show? So there have been studies in germ-free mice. So they're mice that have no gut microbiome. They don't have any gut bacteria. They're kept in a germ-free environment. Very antisocial they were found to be. And when challenged, they had a really increased stress response. So you've got that fight or flight, increased cortisol around the system. And so when they were given a good bacteria, it was found that they were more sociable and had less of that stress response. So what about kind of human studies? So there's been a human study into chronic fatigue syndrome, and those given a probiotic were found to have less severe symptoms, so an improved mood. We've also had studies in healthy subjects, and after taking a probiotic, I think this was the University of Oxford, I'll see if I can find the information, they perceived themselves better. They had a better perception of their body. So why aren't we all going out and buying prebiotic and probiotic supplements? Well, you may do, but most of these studies are showing mild changes, and often it's been kind of looked into whether it's just helps someone who maybe is taking medication for things like depression and anxiety. It's just a support to allow that medication to work better. But what I think it does indicate is that having a healthy gut microbiome is good for us all, especially when we're taking certain medications that may affect our gut. And so really having prebiotics and probiotics naturally, and ensuring we have a really varied diet and quite a balanced diet is important. So, you might hear like eat the rainbow, so that we get all these really great foods that feed our good bacteria. So what I will say is that, in this week, I think it would be really great to review your diet. And obviously, if you have challenges with food, then I'm just want to give a word of caution that probably isn't something you may want to do. But I think for anyone who has a good relationship with food and you feel quite comfortable with that, having a look at the diet and saying, can I not cut out anything? This is definitely not a diet. This is, can I add anything that would be beneficial to my gut? Could I vary what I'm eating this week and try some new things that may be pre or probiotics, or just a really varied healthy diet? So that's one thing, is maybe add a few things in that you haven't tried before. And then also I've done a recording on mindful eating, so having a practice of mindful eating would be great, just to raise awareness of the food that we're putting into our bodies, how that feels, and being really grateful for what we're eating, and then doing some gut directed breathing. So I've also done a video on that. So they're the three things that would be absolutely great. Having a little look at introducing some extra things into our diet that really help our gut microbiome, mindful eating, and gut directed breathing. So enjoy and let me know how you get on.